Okay. Welcome to the County Commissioners Board meeting, October 3rd. I'll have Brian, if you'd like to start, introduce yourself, and we'll go around the room.
Okay, Brian Colesworthy, Teton County Planner.
This way. Sam Carlson, Teton County Commissioner.
Joe Delo, County Commissioner.
Dick Snellman, Commissioner.
Melody Martinson, Choteau, Canada.
Mike Cummings at 1341 County Line Road.
And then I have Jeremy Fadness and Dan Staley online.
Thank you, and everybody welcome. First item is approval of the minutes from September 19th. Sure.
I would move to approve those minutes.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of September 19th. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have two sets of road encroachments. First one would be for Michael Killorn, K-I-L-L-O-R-N, and that's at 424 Gordon Road. It's a new driveway service, a new address.
What was the address?
424 Gordon Road. It's off from 15th Lane and North Division Road.
Yes, Steve signed that.
Steve has signed it, requested the approach will not be in any kind of runoff, so he's just recommending a 12-inch culvert.
Okay.
And since it shouldn't affect anybody or anything else on the road.
I would move to approve that.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the road encroachment for Michael Killian. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Then we have road encroachments on subdivision off from 13th Lane between 2nd Road and 3rd Road on the east end of the Fairfield Bench. Would be in the Power Postal Service. There's,
Is that the subdivision that we're going to talk about today?
yes, it is.
Okay.
There's 5 lots.
So that'll be 5 different
That's correct.
approaches off of 13th.
Yep, and there is do you have the map up there? Or can
Yes.
you put the
Yep.
map up?
There you go. This along the top is 13th Lane Northeast.
Right.
And there is this is for the septic, by the way, too.
But the lots are the same, so,
Mhm.
and the number 1 lot is to the left hand of the screen?
It is it's north.
North.
Yep.
And that is, I have that.
39.41 acres.
39.41 acres. Or
Oh, sorry,
51.
39.51 acres.
Lot number 2 is 9.62. Lot 3 is 10.02. Lot 4 is 9.71. And lot 5 is 9.4 acres. They all have access to 13th Lane. Steve has looked at those. He's recommending a 24-inch culvert.
In the plan and utilities, they are planning 30-foot wide. Is what they requested.
24-inch diameter.
Oh,
No,
okay.
for on the culvert.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, good. Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah. And I believe that was on every one of them, but
Should be.
yeah.
Okay. I would move to approve those.
All 5.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
So it's been moved and seconded to approve the 5 road encroachments entering on to 13th Lane Northwest for it's William Niebel, Belt Creek Homes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Just
yes.
a quick clarification. I thought I heard you say both 13th Lane Northeast and 13th Lane Northwest.
Northeast.
It is Northeast.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
how do you spell Mr. Nebel's last name?
Nebel.
Nebel, and it's called Belt Creek Homes.
That's correct. That's
Okay.
what's on the road encroachment.
And he's the developer.
Yeah, the owner, yeah.
Yep, okay.
It's Spring Coulee Minor Subdivision. All right, then we have surplus mower that we advertised, and we have 2 bids sealed. They both came in, one on the 2nd and one on 9/25. To whom it may concern, proposed a bid of $350 on the mower, and that came from Brian Colesworthy. And the second bid for the total bid of $278 came from Greg Alzheimer. So it appears that 350 would be the highest one. What's your pleasure, gentlemen?
I would move to approve that highest bid.
I'll second it.
Then, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congrats.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, buddy.
Okay, that's. Next item on the agenda is the Spring Coulee preliminary subdivision. And Brian, we will turn it over to you.
Okay, so I have Jeremy Fadness with WWC Engineering, which is here on behalf of the client. And then Dan Staley with our engineering firm, Staley Engineering.
Okay?
Dan, I'm gonna run through just the high notes, and then if you and Jeremy wanna jump in regarding the comments that were provided. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, the kind of order of things there is Jeremy addresses any public comments
Okay.
that you don't address. I'm here to answer questions about the staff report.
Okay. We have a 5-lot minor subdivision, just as mentioned before. The acreage is, for lot 1 is 39.51, lot 2, 9.62, lot 3, 10.02, lot 4, 9.71, and lot 5 is 9.40 acres. It's along 13th Lane Northeast, individual driveways, no new road construction being proposed with the subdivision. There is no existing utility easement shown on the preliminary plat, new utility easements, interior lot lines. Each one of these would be individual wells and septic systems. The adjacent lands are state land and ag and residential. There's no comments at this time in the staff report. And then I just went through a couple of the highlighted areas. The impact on agriculture, the following information provided regarding effects on agricultural. The surrounding property is state land, ag land, and open rural residential. On the roads, access to 5 new proposed home sites, as mentioned on 13th Lane Northeast, currently made by Teton County. The subdivision will generate approximately 50 trips per day onto 13th Lane Northeast. A full build out of the subdivision with existing traffic. 13th Lane Northeast will likely have less than 100 trips per day. The existing road will handle the additional traffic without improvements. Then it goes on to emergency services. Sheriff, fire department, and ambulance services has their response times, and they line up with conversations we've had with each of those departments. There is no addresses assigned to it. On utilities, 30-foot wide access utility easements being proposed along property lines to fulfill subdivision requirements. The application information provided states that Northwestern Energy currently provides electricity to the subdivision. Natural gas or telephone services do not exist on site. Northwest Energy would provide natural gas, and Triangle Telephone would provide telephone services if required by landowners. The school that would be impacted would be Power, and it would be roughly about 10 school-age kids spread across different grades, is the projected. Sewer, water, and storm water and solid waste. The application included water, sewer, and storm plans. All sanitation permits will need to be placed prior to the final application, or final plat application. Other information provided. Each lot will be served by individual water and wastewater treatment system. These utilities will be private. Solid waste will be disposed of at the Teton Refuse District number 1. There is no garbage roll-off sites located in Power for use by each new lot. Each lot owner will be responsible for disposing of solid waste. No additional costs are anticipated for these services. Impact on national environment. Our subdivision regulations do not require environmental assessment for minor subdivision. Any county water, stormwater, or sewage treatment permitting is required prior to final plat application submittal. SHPO indicates that they have no record of any historic or cultural resources on the subject property. There are no existing structures on the subject parcel, and no structures over 50 years old. No historic or cultural resources have been identified on the site. The correspondence with SHPO is included in tab 29 of the subdivision application.
I have a question about Triangle Telephone would provide telephone service?
Yeah, if
Where's
the
Triangle from?
Lovely.
Should it be Three
By the
Rivers?
little Three Rivers.
Jeremy, can you answer that question? Why wouldn't Three Rivers be the service provider for telephones?
I believe it would.
Oh, okay.
I thought it should be.
Okay, thank you. All right, so scoot ahead here. The county growth policy, there's no information provided. We really don't have anything in the growth policy. It's mostly for the populated areas like the
Right.
municipalities. The closest thing was 6.2 in the growth policy. I was going to give Dan for this and have a question for him on that. Then moving along, sorry. And then the prerequisites for approval. Good, they covered everything. And then the suggested conditions of approval, the final plat and plan shall be substantial compliance with the preliminary plat and plans reviewed and approved by the governing body, except as modified by these conditions. The final plat and supplementals shall comply with the uniform standards of final subdivision plats and will be reviewed by a county examining land surveyor and subdivision administrator prior to final approval. All existing and proposed easements shall be illustrated upon the final plat. Prior to filing the final plat, the subdivider shall provide proof that all real property taxes, special assessment, assessed, and levied on the property are paid for current tax year, including any past delinquencies. Please note that this condition is met by the county treasurer's signed certification. to the above upon face of the final plat and required before final plat can be filed. Prior to plat application, the subdivider shall secure the county health department and the Department of Environmental Quality permitting requirements. Upon approving and conditional approving of subdivision application and preliminary plat, the commission will approve the applicant with a date of signed statement of approval. This shall be enforced for 36 months from the date of written decision. The Board of County Commissioners may, at its discretion and at written request of the applicant, extend its approval of the preliminary plat. And then, so I'm gonna go over the comment we just got in by email this morning. It is from Ty and Whitney Brewer. It says, to whom it may concern, we are unable to come for public comment today concerning the proposed subdivision, Spring Coulee Minor Subdivision. But we do have concerns about the subdivision's strain on water resources. Our property has a water right dating back to 1930s, but in the past 3 years we have had to improve our well and then, 18 months later, install a cistern as well as our well went dry for 3 months last winter. The issue of the loss of water is not unique to our location. Many households on the bench, including a number of our neighbors, have had similar loss of water and have had to invest in cisterns, water hauling, and other means to get water to their household. I hope this group has looked carefully at the groundwater availability and the potential impact of additional houses for those who are currently living here, as well as those who might purchase these sites, only for those owners to find they have no water. Thank you for your work, and consideration, Ty and Whitney Brewer. And then we have Mike Cummings here for additional comments. You're up, Mike.
Yeah, thank you for allowing me to make comments. I have several questions. First of all, have you had any public hearing or official public hearing prior to this being presented?
No.
No.
Okay. And then would this meeting then be considered a public hearing or
Yes.
a public comment period?
Mhm.
Well, I'd like to go on record as these folks have mentioned as totally opposing this kind of subdivision in this area. I believe that this subdivision is totally out of character for the land use that is in this area, basically agricultural and grazing and pasture land. And I came from eastern Washington, Spokane County, and I was on the planning commission. And in Spokane County, they have zoning regulations and zoning laws. And I saw firsthand what's happening in Spokane County where ag land is being taken for housing developments. And folks, we're not making any more agricultural land. I know the south end of this piece was producing agricultural land before this gentleman bought it. And I hate to see you put a subdivision on agricultural land. It's totally out of place. And I think as county commissioners, where they're in a county here where we don't have zoning laws, the public relies on you gentlemen to look out for the interests of ag land and open space lands. And I personally feel that, again, this project is totally out of place. I've only lived here 3.5 years in Teton County, and on this Fairfield bench especially, I observe that seems to be a mishmash of housing developments and housing areas. And again, I think we've taken good agricultural land and used it for houses. And I know it's a fine line. You know, people need housing, they need land, but again, I was a farmer and a rancher from eastern Washington, and that's my roots, and I hate to see you take agricultural land for this type of a development. Again, we're not making any more farmland, gentlemen, and to use it up. And I just would like to say too, Teton County you're sitting on a diamond in the rough here, gentlemen, compared to what I've seen in Washington. And you just need to be really careful about allowing this type of thing to happen. And I think it's going to happen more frequently, where you have people from large cities and coming from other states where things are going south, and they're looking for places like Teton County to move to, but yet they have no experience living in the rural areas, and this kind of thing happens. I talked to this gentleman that bought this piece of land several months ago. In fact, I looked at it myself when it first came up for sale. Was this initially sold by the Youngs? Do you know that?
No,
I was thinking that's who I talked to, but anyway,
Wasn't part of Lee's?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. I
Okay.
know that Youngs live just across the, well, Brewers, which Whitney
Yeah.
is a Young, lives
Oh,
just
okay.
across the road.
Yeah.
But that used to belong to the Saracens.
okay.
Um,
Anyway, I talked to this gentleman that bought the land, and it didn't work out like he thought, and so he wants to recoup his investment by subdividing it. And again, I think that's, I'm sorry he bought it and it didn't work out, but to subdivide it and to use up agricultural land for his personal financial gain, in my opinion, is not right. So again, I'd go on record as adamantly opposing this subdivision.
And we appreciate your comments.
Yeah, I appreciate you letting me do that. And I think personally too, if you would hold a formal public hearing, you might get more public input on this type of thing. Because as you know, I hope you know, that the public is pretty apathetic about things. And they won't act or speak up unless, their pants are on fire. And so, I think if you would investigate, there would be a lot of public outcry about this type of subdivision in ag lands. Thank you for letting me spout off on that.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Brian, do you have any more comments?
Nope, those are the only two I have. And then I turn this over to Jeremy, correct?
Yeah, if Jeremy wants to respond to the public comments, that's typically how this is done in the public meeting format. The only thing I would say is to the commissioners regarding the last comment is minor subdivisions require a public meeting, and it's the preliminary plat public meeting that we're attending right now. And that was publicly advertised, and then letters were sent to the adjoining landowners per your county subdivision regulations.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, commissioners. Thanks, Brian. I'll briefly address a few things. The first thing I'll address is just some of the staff report stuff. We did provide an email last week, kind of responding to some of the highlighted items in the staff report. I'll go through just a couple of those. Emergency services, we agreed with, we contacted the county DS coordinator, tried to a couple times, and never received a response. But based on this property is 6 road miles from power, and we estimated at a speed of 35 miles an hour on rural county roads. That equates to approximately 10-minute response time from power. So we essentially agree with the analysis in the staff report on response times. Addressing, we will be working with the county, if the preliminary plat is approved, we'll work with the county address on getting addresses assigned to these lots prior to final plat, and then also work with Postal Service prior to final plat on mail delivery requirements. And then we did find a few items in the growth policy that this subdivision kind of, we think fits under. goal number 4.1, protecting the natural environment and heritage of Teton County and Rocky Mountain Front. We understand that the Teton County and a lot of rural counties in Montana are agricultural. I'm from Beaver Lake County, largely agricultural, grew up on a ranch. Totally understand agricultural. These lots are large lots. They're meant to be large agricultural type lots for people to have livestock. You can still do hay production on a 10-acre lot. I have a 5-acre lot in Helena, and we do hay production on our 5-acre lot. So we're not taking, in our opinion, we're not taking ag land out of production. These lots could be used for ag production if the owners so wish to do so. So we feel like we're still preserving the agricultural intent of Teton County by providing large agricultural lots. Same thing with goal 4.2, protecting agricultural land and promoting the environment. Again, these are large lots. They're not small 1-acre lots with a bunch of septic systems and wells out here. They're large 10-acre lots that can still remain agricultural, small agricultural operations, obviously, but still can remain ag. Goal 5.1 is meeting the housing needs for all ages, incomes, and special needs groups. So objective number 3 in that section is to develop a variety of housing types and meeting the needs of the changing population. So obviously we need a variety of housing types throughout the state of Montana, right? And these large lots will fit within a certain sector of people that would like to have large agricultural lots that may want to have some cows or horses and do some small agricultural production. And then we are not located in the wildland urban interface with this project. We have no steep slopes or heavy fuel loads, no trees on the site whatsoever. And we're not located that far from power. So we feel like the wildland urban interface is not affected by the subdivision. And I think that's the last thing I wanted to address there. As far as public comment goes, we're working with DEQ right now on the water and wastewater approval. DEQ has provided some comments to us on water, and we're working with our hydrogeologists on water availability and working through that with DEQ right now. This property is kind of unusual because we actually have several drainages that run through the property. One of the drainages is actually a lot of the wasted irrigation water from Greenfield's irrigation district comes down through one of these drainages that goes through the property and actually recharges the aquifer in this area. So at this point, working with our hydrogeologists, we don't see any concerns with aquifer recharge. Again, these are large lots. There are no other homes close to this except for, I believe there's a piece of property right across the road. But we're quite a ways away from the next homes that might be adjacent to this property. And then, yeah, I think I already addressed the agricultural comment with my previous comments. So I'm available for questions if anybody has any questions.
Brian, I did see one item and I just need clarification. On the refuge district number 1 for power.
Yep.
Okay, it says no additional costs are anticipated for these services. There is an annual fee that's put on each landowner's or household of, I believe it's $164 per year, which is minimal, but to use that service.
Okay.
Could I make an additional comment?
Sure.
The other concern, as these original other people mentioned, would be on water. It looks like there would be 5 well sites there drilled, is that correct? And I think one of the reasons the gentleman bought the land originally, his plans didn't work out, is because of the lack of water. And I think you're kidding yourself if you're gonna be able to drill 5 wells and think you're gonna get enough water. Right now, I know my neighbors on County Line Road are having well problems with the dry weather and the droughty conditions. The wells are going dry, the springs and cisterns are going way down, and I have a major concern about water as well. The other thing, the gentleman referred to these as large lots. I don't consider 9 and 10 acres to be very large lots. By the time houses are built and outbuildings are built, fences put in, you're not gonna have a whole lot of land left for animals or agricultural endeavors. In addition, if you were to allow animals to be raised on these small lots, and you do have drainage through those areas, the potential for water pollution is pretty great. And I'm not familiar with how the water drainage, does that go down into Muddy Creek somehow eventually? But I think the concern with water pollution there with animal ag would be pretty severe on those small lots. Again, 10 acres, where I come from, 10 acres is nothing. I think the minimum where I came from in Spokane County was 20 acres to allow something like this. And I would like to see 40 acres be the minimum, actually. So anyway, water and the pollution of the ground and the drainage areas would be a major concern.
So has there been any consideration to cisterns?
Jeremy, was there any considerations for cisterns?
So again, we're working through DEQ approval right now. I won't rule that out as a requirement by DEQ. We're again, like right now, again, like I said, we're this was our preliminary plat. Our preliminary plan was for wells, but again, DEQ had several comments to us that we're working through right now on water and water quality, and so we're working through those right now. I can't rule out that we won't have cisterns.
Dan, do you have any recommendations?
Beyond the staff report, I have all my recommendations on conditions of approval are listed right above the commissioners, last page of the staff report. So those are basically my recommendations for conditional approval is what they call it. And with regard to the water concern, the DEQ has been mentioned several times, and then the size of I believe that the gentleman that just spoke said in Washington it's a 40-acre minimum to allow something like this. In Montana, the way the sanitation and subdivision statute is written, the DEQ considers anything less than 20 acres as subdivision. So the Department of Environmental Quality will be reviewing water, wastewater, and stormwater. And it's a condition of approval that they permit those 3 utilities prior to the final plat application being submitted. Just wanted to clarify that. The parcel that's greater than 20 acres on this, then that would be the county health department that basically does the same thing.
So,
as far as septic and water permits.
yep. Sorry.
The health department's the sanitary.
Yeah, so, no, well, if it's over 20 acres, yes. Sanitary.
Right.
Sanitary.
Right.
So, in suggested condition of approval on the last page, number 4, prior to final application, the subdivider shall secure the county health department and the Department of Environmental Quality permitting requirements. So that would be for the wells and for the septic and drainage plan, correct, Dan?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So it is a condition that would be required at final plat submission.
But county health or county sanitation?
DEQ would be the
Well,
final.
On 4, it'll be DEQ, on 1, it'll be Austin.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sanitary.
No,
not,
not the health.
not the health.
no,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my question.
it'll be the sanitarian.
Yeah, my mistake. That typically the county sanitarian is works for the county health department.
Sure.
Hey, Jeremy, have you guys had Austin come out there and do the soil samples yet, or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we've actually gone through all of the non-deg permitting through DEQ already. So the non-degradation for the wastewater systems is actually already pre-approved by DEQ before we submitted the actual subdivision application to DEQ. So we have all the test bits done, all that stuff is done. Really, the only thing we're working through left with DEQ is water. They had, like I said, they had a few comments on water and water quality, and so we're working through those comments.
Okay.
Any other comments? Mel, do you need any clarification on anything?
No, I think you've answered my questions. I guess just to follow up on Mike's question, or Mike's request that commissioners consider not approving this because of the impact on agriculture and potentially other existing homeowners and water supply. Do you have the legal authority not to approve based on that?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Because we refer to the state.
Right, I didn't think you had,
We would have to have zoning.
you'd have to have zoning to be able to
And
do
we don't
that,
have
and in the
any
absence of
zoning, so-
zoning, you don't have
I
that.
think probably we have to.
So let me ask you then, what is the purpose of bringing in public comment about it if you don't have the power to disapprove a project like this? Is that what you're telling me? You don't have the power to disapprove it?
If they meet the conditions that are in place, we don't have the power to disapprove it. The only way we could gain that power was to enact zoning ordinances in the county.
Wow.
That's my understanding.
Yeah, I think that's right, but I don't think that's necessarily right, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, I'd sure look into that one. I mean, you are representatives of the people who voted you into office, and if you don't have the power to, live up to their requests or their desires on projects like this, then why have public comment then? That would be my question. I'm amazed that that is the case.
So, commissioners, if I may, the way that minor subdivision review processes are set up in your adopted subdivision regulations, which themselves involved a public process before they were adopted, is that the effect on agriculture is one of your primary review criterias. And so if there's impacts on any of the primary review criterias, then the public comment period is for you, the commissioners, to take public comment and then look at how the impacts have been addressed and decide whether they've been properly mitigated or not. Does that make sense?
That helps.
It's- Yeah. And we follow, whatever the state rules are before we enact anything.
Right. If they're still looking at water studies, I don't know that we wanna approve this.
Well, this
Well,
is
it's
just
just
preliminary,
Well, I understand that,
and
but
it sounds like they've already done the soil studies.
For the
soil
septic.
studies, yeah,
But they were still looking at cisterns.
well, yeah, they're still looking at water.
But they'll have to figure that out before they ask us for final approval.
Yep. So within the conditions, my recommendation is to move forward with the preliminary. We have the conditions of approval for final plat, and that would have to meet all state requirements with DEQ and with our subdivision regulations. And again, no zoning, there are no,
Right.
and I mean, they provided all the information. And without DEQ, it hasn't fully weighed in, so they're still working through that process. So it may end up being, the final plat may be cisterns and water being hauled in like, who would have, Ty and Wendy
It
Brewers.
was, yeah, right.
Sorry, he was very noisy, not nosy.
So what would be your
I will move-
recommendation?
I will move to give preliminary approval to this subdivision.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to give preliminary approval for the Spring Coulee subdivision and follow all the state rules. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Brian, is this east of Power, so 6 miles east or 6 miles northeast?
South.
6 miles
South.
south of
South.
Power. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you, we appreciate your time today. We'll continue working through the DEQ process and hopefully be coming back to you soon with the final plat application.
Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Dan.
Yep, thanks, Dan.
Thank you, you're welcome.
Commissioner reports.
I guess we're still trying to mow, and the graders are still out. We're behind and we're trying to catch up. We've had a few calls, and, you know that we've
We
got
do
a,
have a new mower out there going.
yeah, we did purchase a tractor and mower 2 weeks ago, so we can get additional roads done. And we're gonna run the mowers until winter hits. Then if winter gives us a break, we'll probably be mowing again.
And the road did say that most of the school bus routes were mowed and graded, so they'll be working on the rest of them now.
Still finishing those up. However, they're real close, I think within
Yep.
the next week or two. Those will all be finished. And, I don't think we have any major projects coming with the roads.
No, they're still working on the bridges that will be bid on here shortly.
And I think, isn't Tuesday the day that we look at the bridges?
Yeah, I got that email after you left last
Oh,
night.
okay.
The project mail that the 4 bridge repairs that we're gonna contract out, the contractor's gonna meet with Steve on Tuesday, and they're gonna go around and look at each bridge, so that's moving forward. There's the bridge by the Outcountry Grill and the Hobble Bridge, and 2 bridges on the bench, and the other 2
On the canals.
Yeah.
Right.
so that is moving forward, and hopefully they'll get done before winter hits.
Hobble Bridge is over the Teton,
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
east of the freeway over the Teton.
and then the bridge at the Elk Country Grill is
Yeah.
over Spring Creek.
Yep, and then 2 over canals on the bench.
GID canals.
Yes.
And they're not, are they complete replacements or are they just repairs?
Repairs.
Repairs, and the state has a program that we'll have to pay for the repairs, but the state will reimburse us 100% for the repairs once we have
Okay.
them completed.
And that there's still, the hope is that we'll get those repairs made before winter?
That's our hope.
Well, and the ones on the bench need to be in the off-season, so,
When
Right.
yeah,
there's no water, right?
right.
Could I make one final statement on the roads?
Sure.
As I said, I live on County Line Road, and we had a situation this summer where we were seeing between 20 and 30 gravel trucks passing by every day for a period of about 2 weeks.
Correct.
And those, from my information that I had, were overloaded, oversized, overweight gravel trucks beating the heck out of our neighborhood gravel roads. And they were going the back way and down the frontage road toward Great Falls where they were depositing the gravel. And they were using that back road because they were being ticketed on Highway 200 by the DOT for being overweight. And so
Just a quick question, were they going east or going west?
they were going east. And then they would come back on 200 and up Dracket Hill to get to the
So
gravel
they'll come
pit.
back on the highway empty?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
And so,
And
See, I didn't understand
that
that
was
was going
on. And I-
assuming, because that's county line, that was probably Cascade County.
yeah, I was gonna ask you about what kind of an agreement you have with Cascade County on the county, part of the county line road for me.
We have an agreement with them, they do part of the county line and we do the other part.
We have the west section, they do the east section.
So where is the dividing?
It's 11.
11 then,
11,
okay.
Yeah.
And we did a joint venture with them this summer from 3rd to 11th
Okay,
and built, pulled the edges,
yeah.
did the sub base and then gravelled it. And it is a pretty nice road. I drove it last night, so.
Well, I was just concerned, and I know these big companies and their big trucks, they pay heavy use tax. But I'm not sure how much of that comes back to the county, because it seems like when they have a project like that and the traffic is so heavy on those county roads, that they do a lot of damage to them, and I'm not sure if they're paying their fair share in
Right.
regard to, gross weight taxes or whatever.
Right, and that's another state deal.
Yeah.
But we asked that same question, because most of our roads were all built for 2.5 ton trucks.
Right,
Okay, I mean, years ago.
They were all
And
built
then-
for that.
Yeah,
yeah.
and then, everybody has gotten semis or
Side
semis
dumps.
and pups and, even for grain. It affects the roads, but we asked the DOT if they had any numbers that what the difference was between regular cars and pickups and semis. You want to take a guess on how many the pressure is? They said for every semi and with a pup, it's 120 vehicles.
Wow, yeah.
So it just puts that much more pressure on the road surfaces, and we understand exactly what you're saying.
Well, according to one of the neighbors who had talked to one of the guys hauling gravel, they were ticketed on Highway 200 and they were 30,000 pounds overweight. And that gives you an idea of the
Sure.
impact.
Yeah. Oh,
And those big side dump trailers, they heat those up and there's a lot of weight there. Even though there's multiple axles, it beats the roads up.
You are correct.
So,
We appreciate the comment though,
Yeah.
because we fight it all the time. I guess public comment. I have one. Teton County should be really happy with their teachers. We had one from the county that was named Teacher of the Year, and you had a nice article in the paper on that, Mel. So kudos to Don Severs and Power School District. Any other public comment or notices that we're forgetting?
Don't have anything.
Okay. Well, our next meeting will be the 17th of October. And with that, I'll adjourn.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you, gentlemen,
Yeah,
for letting me
thank you,
speak. Appreciate it.
Thank you.